everybody, to day 5 of our 12 days of Sacred Self. My name is Jona Bryndis, and I am an energy healer, trainer of other healers, energy coach, and therapist. And this is what I do. I guide people through their inner experience of their higher self and teach them about the structures and the windings of this spiritual journey that we are all on. And in these previous first 4 days, we've uncovered that there are different layers, different levels of reality within us. And day 1, we realized that our true being is actually an immaterial being, not a material being. So we learned to change our perspective from being from being a body with a soul to, first and foremost, being a soul that is having a physical experience. And this marks the lowest level of I awareness. The one thing that differentiates us from animals, other mammals, even those higher developed mammals, is that we have a fully developed I awareness. And this I awareness, we call this ego in psychology, is somewhat of a lower nature on this lowest level. Being a human, and we often use the phrase, that we're all just human, expresses that, although unfairly so. Because we as humans actually have the potential for our higher self, for living and embodying our higher self. But this isn't as easy as it sounds at first. So when we awaken to this impulse, to wanting a deeper connection with spirit, or the source of all that exists, or God, if you will, the divine, we have to develop our spiritual organs in order to work this relationship. Just like how we have to work on our communication for our 3D relationships, we have to work on our willingness to understand the other, the willingness to make compromises, to find higher vibratory solutions, the willingness to set boundaries, to maintain healthy boundaries, the willingness to let go of control, as we've learned, and also simply the willingness to share. Those are all skills, sociological and psychological skills that we need to learn in the course of our earthly 3D life in order to enter and also maintain deeper relationships. Now, when it comes to our spiritual relationships, the relationship with our true self, that is a little higher up there than our ego, in that it can help us to remind us of our true nature. It is the part in us that we often call consciousness, even though it's not precise. If you do the energy course or the energy trainer course with me, you learn that the terminology is actually quite scientific, in spiritual science. But here, in the context of energy talk, I'll use terms that everybody can understand. So we learned that our true self is something like a mediator between our material 3D physical experience and our soul self, our spirit being that we are. And on day 3, we've discovered that there are aspects to that, that go beyond just what our ego can understand. So on the true self level, which most of us can still connect with via our collective unconscious, we often have sort of helper beings in our mythologies, such as guardian angels or fairy godmothers, that help us, that remind us why we're here, our quest in this life. Now, on day 3, we discovered that there is an even higher level to that, namely the tribal aspect. Why we were born into this family, why we were born into this country, because there are specific elements of this quest, that tie into a greater mission, and that greater mission is the spiritualization, the building the bridge to our higher self, to our spirit self, to our soul self in a conscious way. So this third level, or this third path that we take on our spiritual development or consciousness development journey, is the one that comes in comparable with archangels. They stand above the angel level in the spiritual hierarchy, that give us the awareness of that we are actually, something like gods in training, that there is a greater mission, not just for ourselves as individuated soul selves, but also in this tribal and collective sense. And the tasks that we are presented with on this level of archangel messaging and archangel perception is to overcome aspects of tribalism, nationalism, and racism, to overcome them. That's the task, the lesson, on that level of consciousness. And yesterday, on the 4th day, on the 4th transition into a higher spiritual realm, we learned that there is basically a very distinct sort of curriculum, that we have to walk on our overall journey, not just the one for this particular lifetime, but on many different lifetimes. So the even greater mission that reminds us of our function, our role in society, in this collective, this human collective. This is the level of the archives, that forms our spiritual personality. It gives us impact. It is the level on which we can affect the entire human collective. And the alignment yesterday, which is called initiation, entails this process of basically stepping onto that bridge, that basically signifies the spiritualization of ourself into the I am awareness. Now, many of you may have heard about this. So today we're going to talk about the I am consciousness, which would be sort of the higher version of your ego self. So your ego is sort of the baby version of that. And once you get past your family and inner child issues and all the things that come with, being a man or a woman, or being, black or white, or being from America or being from Russia, once you get past that and you recognize that there is a greater mission here for the entire human collective, namely to awaken to this higher awareness, that allows you to have an inner experience of the I am, of your inner divine spark. Not just a coincidental or synchronistic experience, but a conscious experience, a consciously chosen experience. So that was the lesson of yesterday. Initiation is a process that you enter consciously and you say, yes, I want to become a conscious soul self, a conscious, individuated soul self that knows his or her role for the entire collective, for the collective consciousness development. And today we are going to pick up on that and investigate what this I am awareness actually is from a spiritual science perspective. And this may raise some eyebrows here, what I am about to say, with some of you who are browsing, other spiritual teachers or conspiracy theorists and so forth. The alignment for today that we are going to listen to is called grace. Grace as sort of a placeholder for the transcendence, for the overcoming of duality, of the good and bad, black and white, forward, backward, sideways, left and right, masculine and feminine, into the triune, the union, the trinity of powers within ourselves. We've illuminated the importance of truth. On our second day with our true self, we've illuminated the importance of love and the development of our feeling soul on the third day. And yesterday we've illuminated the importance of freedom, the freedom to choose, the free will, and the responsibilities that come with that. These three pillars, truth, love, and freedom, or light, love, and wisdom, or faith, hope, and generosity, as many of you know them as the three graces. They bring in the higher virtues, the form that needs to be embodied in order to adjust, in order to align, to the current paradigm. It's higher than the era that we're in, than the zeitgeist we talked about yesterday. It's the paradigm. We're living in the paradigm of the consciousness soul development. We are supposed to develop a conscious awareness of our individuated spirit self, soul self, and the collective development of humanity along with the planet that is also a spirit being on a higher level than we are. Our powers don't reach very far compared to the planet Earth, compared to Mother Nature. Mother Nature is the realm of the archive. But the level of consciousness, or the level of spiritual power that we're looking at today, that is expressed in grace within us, is called the EXUSIAI. Those are the powers, the mights that form entire solar systems. It's associated with the light and the warmth of the sun, the formation of this system that we are in here in our solar system, with all these different aspects that come in through the different planets. Those of you who are interested in astrology, there's a reason why we attribute these different aspects to different planets and how they affect us in our personality, in our 3D expression. There's a reason why we associate our spiritual organs, our energy centers, and our inner organs with planets. There is a whole entire science behind this, guys. Thousands and thousands of years old, known in esoterica for almost 8,000 years and beyond that, but never fully understood. And it is this paradigm that we are living in right now that is associated with the Holy Night, with this transition from the 24th to the 25th as the initiation into this new paradigm, through celebrating the birth of baby Jesus. Jesus as the bringer of the new paradigm, the New Testament, the new rules of tuning into our higher consciousness soul. So once a collective, the human collective, is capable of individuating and developing the free will to choose, if we've learned yesterday, a new logos comes in. So I've weaved many different esoteric terms and concepts into this little intro here to familiarize you with what I am talking about. I am talking about a 2,000-year paradigm that came with the incarnation and then basically started with the baptism of Jesus of Nazareth. Jesus of Nazareth, when he was baptized, brought the spirit of the solar logos into this plane. And the New Testament, and I'm not talking about religion here, I'm talking about spiritual science, I'm talking about scriptures, Vedic scriptures, Buddhic scriptures, Sumerian scriptures. All these scriptures are part of this spiritual journey that we are following, with different paradigms at different epochs of that. So the rules that we needed 8,000 years ago, 6,000 BC, or the rules that we needed 4,000 or 3,000 BC, the rules that we needed 1,000 BC are different from the rules that we needed at 33 AD with the baptism of Jesus, where he turned into the Christ, where he brought the Christ consciousness as the new paradigm to humanity, and where he embodied it. The new rules. Yesterday I talked about this a little bit when we talked about values and virtues. I said, we no longer need a tablet with 10 commandments to tell us that it's not okay to kill someone or to steal or to rape. We don't need that anymore. We have this moral consideration already built in us. And that is because we have already been shown this potential, this capacity to grow into our Christ consciousness. And in practical or modern spirituality, we call the experience of the internalized Christ consciousness heart consciousness, the sacred heart, Sacré-Cœur. And here within the transCODES and Sacred Self-Healing community, we call this grace. The experience of Christ consciousness in us through the gateway of our heart. And you've got to understand, this is a really high spiritual hierarchy. This is the 5th hierarchy. And with it, on the level of the solar system, on the level of the solar logos, those of you who are training, who are in the soul self-initiation training with me that takes a year, you can perhaps better understand what solar logos is. We just attuned to it, and you had this first-hand healing experience that comes in when you fully choose this level of consciousness. And for everybody else who's not studying it, you can still experience it. And this is what the alignment is that we are going to listen to. But just real quick, this level of EXUSIAI, the most famous beings, and this is always plural, this is always a group of beings, on all these levels, humans, angels, archangels, archai, and EXUSIAI. The most famous ones, or known ones, are the Elohim. The Elohim are mentioned over 2,500 times in the Old Testament. And I know that there are some streams of thought right now, just like how we have streams of thought about the origin story of humans, coming from alien being some kind of product of genetic modification. These need to be discerned. So there is the story out right now, and quite a few of these popular spiritualists are propagating this, that the Elohim are some kind of alien race that came, and modified the human genome to raise them as their slaves. This is spiritual misinformation. It is literally the outcropping of materialism. It completely denies any kind of spiritual realm, and therefore fails to recognize that these powerful spirit beings, the Elohim, which are not embodied, they're not physical anymore. They work on the level of the solar system. The powers that the sun exerts to the planets. We had workshops here about climate change and learned that the most impact on our climate is through the sun. The biggest impulses that we can feel as humans in our bodies still are coming from the sun. That's the level of powers we're talking about. This idea that humans need to be genetically modified is rather naive and not very spiritually advanced. So this materialization of higher powers, which humanity used to do thousands of years ago, making everything somehow a symbol of something, is no longer up to date. Spiritual science teaches clearly that the access to the divine is directly in us from birth, from the beginning of all humanity. But what we don't have from birth is the tools and the disciplines and the access to all our higher abilities. Those need to be gradually trained. And this is the significance of this time that we live in right now. We live in a time where we can not only consciously choose this, maybe a confirmation or because we make some vow or pact or something. No, we can also have the internalized experience of this. You have to understand the significance of this time. When we talk about global awakening, guys, we're talking about a huge paradigm shift. It's huge. And this transformation that we are experiencing right now, where we feel that everything is going down the drainer and, like, oh my God, and humans are devolving. This is the time of bifurcation. It is the time where we have to make a conscious choice. Why? Because we can. And that conscious choice is the choice to embody these higher spiritual powers. How? Through your heart, through training, the mastery of your thinking. We already discovered what the problem is with our thinking, the mastery of your feeling. We already discovered what the problem with our emotions is. The mastery of our choosing. The adverse powers that work against us in us are these dark forces that we talk about. And the nature of darkness, you got to understand this, guys, is not some being out there. There are dark beings, just like we have these beings of light. We have beings of the dark, and they have the same spiritual hierarchy, just the other way around. Yes, and you will encounter beings with names, etc., if you train your perception on these levels, but that's not the point. The point is a different one. You've got to understand that in order to overcome your own duality, in order to graduate from your ego consciousness into your I am consciousness, you need to have adversity. The ego seeks pleasure and avoids pain, discomfort, and therefore has no impulse for growth, for betterment. It tries to stay away from it. It tries to control everything and maintain everything the way it is. Ego is not interested in this growth. It is the Christ impulse in you that is interested in that, because that is linked to the divine evolution impulse in you that comes in through the EXUSIAI. The Elohim are the ones that brought that to this planet. Okay, I know this is a lot of sort of tying different things together, and that's why you have to study this. There's a part of your spiritual growth that has to happen through studying. That cannot just happen through, experiencing these realms without any navigation tool, without any inner lexicon. You need to know which path to take. Because it is the confrontation with untruths, the confrontation with unlove, coldness, narcissism, and the confrontation with unfreedom, restriction, and control, digital ID, etc. Social credit system. Just to name a few things here. That teaches you what you need to overcome. So these adverse powers come in to help us graduate, to show us exactly the lessons we need to learn. Remember yesterday I said these synchronicities, and these things that you suddenly experience as a sort of upgrade or download, they come in through the archive. Archangel Michael graduated too. So within these hierarchies, these beings can graduate as well. They do this over the course maybe of 10,000 of years. Archangel Michael has graduated from being an archangel to becoming an archivist in the 19th century. And this marks sort of the beginning of the era of consciousness soul. So you got to understand that there are much, much bigger powers at work, and that your impulse to wanting to understand that, to wanting to explore that, to wanting to deal or be part of that, that is the impulse to consciousness work, to learn how this works, to build your inner lexicon, to have these inner experiences. Mindfulness, meditation, lucid dreaming, all these altered states of consciousness are just the mere beginning of it. That they serve you just to confirm that there is something like a spiritual reality. And once you begin to maneuver in them, you realize that there are many different layers and many different realms within those. Not everybody has to go those ways, but it is linked to the dream worlds, because if you put yourself into this place where you have nightmares, where you feel completely powerless and helpless, that's what it's like when you graduate into these higher consciousness levels, but you have no tools, you have no guidance to navigate. This is the impulse, guys, that you a very selected audience here, that you are feeling within. And that's what I am providing assistance for. It's a very specific kind of training that most people won't be willing to enter, until like maybe 100 or 200 years from now. When this spiritual impulse doesn't just come as an awakening impulse, but as the desire to spiritually grow and to etherize your being, to let go of the density of 3D. Those are all concepts that can be found everywhere. Today, I just wanted to point out that this need for navigating these realms is not just perhaps part of your spiritual ego. That is a clear impulse. And if I look back at my journey, there was this scientist in me, and this explorer and this pioneer and so forth, is wanting to know everything about it and study it all. And that's a good first impulse, but it's not going to get you there. You have to have your own internalized experience. It's all about embodiment. So let's go into this internalized experience together, and listen to this really powerful alignment called grace, and explore what comes up in us. I mentioned that these days, these spiritual hierarchy days, of building the bridge into the spiritual, are also linked to the 12 months. And some of you may already know this, that the 12 months are also linked to planets or celestial bodies. So there is no coincidence in these things. I'm not making this up, guys. This is thousands of years of human knowledge. But it was closed up for us because we didn't have the consciousness level. to fully grasp it yet. The time has come now. I'm going to turn myself off here, so that you guys can listen to this beautiful alignment, and then I hope we can come back together and share and see what the Spitz month, May 24, has to or will bring to us. Grace. O Great Spirit, whose voice in the wind I hear, and whose breath gives life to all the world, hear me. Before you I come, one of your many children. I am small and weak. Your strength and wisdom I need. Let me walk in beauty and make my eyes ever behold the sunset. Make my heart respect all you have made, and my ears sharp to hear your voice. Make me wise, that I may know all you have taught my people, the lessons you have hidden in every rock. I seek strength, not to be superior to my brother, but to fight my greatest enemy, myself. Make me ready to stand before you with clean and straight eyes. So when life fades as the fading sunset, may my spirit stand before you without shame. Mitako yo yasin. Yes, I am ready. I have become aware of the source of spirit in me that is filling me with the breath of life whenever I look at the sun and connect with the earth. You answer my call whenever I take a conscious sacred moment to allow your graces to fill me. I am not alone. When I go to sleep, let me feel the love for truth, the warmth of surrender, and the light of wisdom in my heart, so that I can feel the strength to face my weaknesses and allow for all that needs to be healed to be revealed. I am ready. Thank you. This alignment speaks particularly to me. Did anybody else feel so deeply moved? As these alignments are attuned to these levels of consciousness, you may notice that the language changes too. It's no longer the words themselves, the soul or logos, even though the word logos is the Greek word for word, and in Genesis it says, in the beginning was the word. It's a different kind of word. It's to shame.
It feels like a bit of a, I don't know, chrysalis breakthrough or something. It feels a little bit tough at the moment, a little bit lonely or something.
Yeah.
But brighter on the other side. But just right now, it feels like in the eye of some storm.
Did you feel this too, Emma? Like a humbleness, like a humble, like, you know, not in a bad way, but really like, okay, this is serious now.
Just give in. Just
lonely.
Oh.
Yeah, like a surrender that is needed.
Yeah.
It's the level on which we need to surrender our ego's tendency for individualism. There's a difference between individuating, becoming aware of who you are, and acting individualistic or egotistical. Humble, yeah. It felt very humble. Very difficult to describe those feelings. I was moved to tears. Anybody, any visuals?
Yes, I had some. A lot of people in a row, walking through a forest, very close to each other. So it was very beautiful in a way, like a task or mission or something. But it felt very beautiful and humble. Yeah.
Single file, Annette? Do you know what single file is? Like one person after one another, or more as a whole group?
A group in a row, together moving forward.
In a row, like an army would, like lines of people.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. On the same level, you see, and then moving forward.
What's the feeling associated with this when you watch this?
Very, very humble, but also hope. Yeah.
So
but there was some striving to go through the woods. You know, it was not easy all the way.
Okay.
Yeah, but there was a lot of hope because I guess there were so many people that were sharing that walk.
So like a mass migration.
Yeah.
Back into nature.
Yeah, I don't know.
It gets increasingly more difficult to make sense of these visuals on these levels of perception. Best not to try to interpret them, but just to learn to be precise, to use good descriptors, and to write them down. Here at transCODES, I train that with people, to just write it down. Don't judge it. Don't make anything of it. Especially the feelings and even the sensations that you have in your body. Just write them down. The best way to align yourself to this level of consciousness is through aligning yourself to the sun. To look at it and to feel the warmth and the light in your physical body. The sun is what gives life to everything on this planet. Everything. And when life occurs, when the egg and the sperm come together, they are exerting light that is comparable with becoming a tiny little microscopic sun. It's amazing. Google this. They have electron microscopes now that can show that. Looks like a supernova. On this level of consciousness and dedication, you understand what it means when I say, when you walk into darkness, form your own sun. Recognize the power of your own light and let it shine. And another way to tune in is to align yourselves to the sun's cycles. Day and night, sleep and wake cycles. There's something very important that happens to your etheric and astral bodies when you're asleep. There's also something very important that occurs when you're awake. But when you're awake, you're using up that light. You're using it up. It's like a battery that slowly drains. And when you sleep, the sun is on the other side of the planet. You recharge. So with this contemplation about, these bigger powers that are out there, these mites, the EXUSIAI are mites. They manage different levels. They bring things into form. They helped you to bring your body and your consciousness soul into form. That's what we're dealing with here. So next time you read something about the Elohim being some alien race that tries to genetically manipulate you, feel into it. I love you guys, and I'm wishing you a beautiful rest of this holy day, the initiation day, the day that Christ embodied from the sun into the earthly plane. I love you, and I see you again tomorrow.